Um, Today, we at New Delhi Developer Group have a very interesting session for you. It's going to be very helpful for the upcoming developers, the senior developers, and as well as the upcoming architects to learn a lot about the how the platform works and how the platform event can be helpful. More to learn, more to know from our guest star speaker, Mohit Tripathi. So, guys, a little bit about me. I currently work as a Salesforce Einstein and CRM Analytics lead in Sienna, India Private Limited. I lead the Salesforce Developer Group. I was the inaugural Einstein AI champion and been the TDX 19 Einstein demo engineer. I'm a J2S mentor and speaker. So please do connect to me if you are on your J2S journey. Here are my social handle, so you guys can ping me over there. Little bit about today's agenda, guys. So we'll start with how to use platform events to avoid CPU timeout, and following we'll have Q&A, and in the ad we will have a Kahoot quiz, and during our Kahoot quiz we'll ask around 11 questions to you, and we'll decide a winner, and that winner will get a awesome swag delivered to their home. And there we have our star speaker, Mohit Tripathi. Mohit currently work as a senior developer at Coursera, and more from Mohit on this. So Mohit, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sagar. Hello, everyone. My name is Mohit Tripathi, and few of you might already know me from my YouTube channel. I'm currently working for Coursera as a Salesforce developer, and I have around 9 years of experience in Salesforce. Yeah, so I will talk about CPU timeout today, and we will understand how CPU timeout works and what are the different ways we can solve this problem. Okay, and feel free to drop your questions on the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer and take them by the end of the session. I hope this session will be helpful for you guys. So I will quickly share my screen and we'll start today's session, and then we will later on take the questions. All right. Just confirm that you guys are able to see my screen, the presentation
Yes,
screen.
yes,
Perfect.
we can see the screen. Yeah.
All right, let me just quickly reiterate the agenda. So we will talk about CPU timeout. We'll understand what is CPU timeout, and then we will talk about when do we get CPU timeout, and what are the different scenarios when we get CPU timeout. How do we identify the root cause of the problem, and then we will quickly talk about how to solve the CPU timeout with the help of platform event. At the end, we will also talk about the limitations of platform event or considerations you should consider whenever you try to design a solution including a platform event. Okay, all right, so what is CPU timeout? Every time whenever a transaction takes more than the time defined by the Salesforce system. So for a synchronous transaction, it is 10 seconds. Whatever happening in the backend, if it is taking more than 10 seconds to complete the processing, then you might get the CPU timeout. And there is a list of things which are included in CPU timeout users versus the things which are not included, and we will quickly talk about them as well. But more or less, let's say you are creating a new opportunity, and by the time you click on save, and by the time this opportunity actually gets stored in the database, all the things which happen in the backend, those gets calculated, and if it is taking more than 10 seconds, then you will get the CPU timeout. Okay, so there are very healthy chances because there will be so many process builders, workflow rules, triggers, validation rules running on opportunity. And one thing to note here is that not only opportunity, so let's say from the opportunity flow, you are creating a contract. Now that contract might have its own triggers as well, its own process builders and flows as well. So whatever happens on the opportunity transaction, which was started by opportunity creation, might also include the contract triggers and so on. Maybe you are creating order on the contract creation, so then order transaction will also execute. So if you have long running operations, there are so many process builder triggers, and if you do not design them carefully, then there are very healthy chances that you might hit the CPU timeout. Although 10 seconds are a good healthy time to process anything, but if you are not very careful, then uh, there are very high chances that you will get it. So we will see how we actually get it on UI, and then what you can do to avoid this. Whenever CPU timeout happens, your DML processes will be rolled back and nothing will happen. User will get a UI error on screen telling him which process failed and the CPU timeout error as well. And we will quickly see that the processes and automations you have written on that particular object plus related objects, if they are getting triggered, will also be counted. Okay. And obviously there are many things happen, so we will quickly see what are the cases where we get CPU timeout. Okay, there are many scenarios on which we get CPU timeout, but I have broadly categorized them into two categories. One is the genuine use cases versus the other one where we have bad coding practices or bad design, and because of that we are getting CPU timeout. Okay, so let's talk about first the bad coding related CPU timeout. Okay, let's say you have written multiple triggers on an object, multiple process builders, multiple flows, and they are running in loop, or they are re get calculating again and again the same thing, then obviously you will had the CPU timeout. Let's say you have loop inside loop and you are processing a large chunk of data, obviously you will get the CPU timeout. So these are scenarios where you will obviously get the CPU timeout, and the process to solve it to basically go back to the Salesforce best practices, improve your code, improve your design, try to avoid process builders as much as you can, because process builders, although on UI looks very easy that you are able to update the same object, but you are updating the same object in the same thread, there is a very high chances of hitting the CPU timeout, because it will recalculate your triggers. And if you are not very careful with your recursion approach, then recursion might also happen. So this case is something which we have to make sure that we are following the Salesforce best practices. But then the other case is that where you actually have a genuine transaction, where you in the backend doing so many things and everything is important, everything is already optimized, yet you are getting the CPU timeout. So let's say on opportunity you have to create a contract, then it will create an order, then it will create a code, it will update the code line item, and everything will happen in the same transaction, and nothing can be avoided. Everything is important, everything is already optimized, yet because you have so many things to do on a particular event, you will get the CPU timeout. In this case, even you follow all the best practices, still you will get the CPU timeout. So what to do in situations like this? Okay, so situations will be a two-step approach. First, we will identify what are the things which are consuming more time than the other things, and then we will draw a plan to solve those things. Okay, so that comes to how do we identify the cause of CPU timeout. Okay, I have seen many developers, whenever they get the CPU timeout, let's say on opportunity creation, they are getting CPU timeout, though they go back to the automations, all the automations they have an opportunity, and they check each one by one, which is fine. But sometimes it takes a lot of time, because in a large organization, you will have a lot of process builders, workflows, flows, and triggers, and it will take huge amount of time to identify the root cause. I have also seen that users will set the debug log and will go through each line of debug log, or just search it by the CPU timeout and try to see where they are actually getting it. Okay, that also is a time taking approach. The better way will be to use the prospective manager in the developer console to debug the actual execution tree, and to see which are the things which are consuming more time, and we will check that shortly. Once you identify that let's say a process builder A is taking more time, then you can always go back to the automations and see what you can improve, whether you can move that process builder to flow, or you can use other options as well. So that comes to the solutioning part, about how do we solve the CPU timeout. Okay, there are multiple ways to solve it, and I am talking about the genuine CPU timeout, where your transaction is already optimized. There is no loop inside the loop, and there is no bad thing happening in your code and design. Okay, so how do you solve it? So, if your genuine transaction is taking more than 10 seconds, then you will have to identify that what are the things which are taking more time. Once you identify, then you will have to find out what are the things which you can move to asynchronous epics, because in asynchronous transaction you have 60 seconds limit, which is way more than what we get in the synchronous. So if you identify a couple of things which are not immediately required, and it is okay to execute them in an asynchronous syntax, then we will identify such thing and we'll move those things to asynchronous apex. Now in the asynchronous apex also there are multiple options available, like future method, like queuable apex. Okay, but using future method here is okay, but not a very good approach, because future method has its own use case. We use future methods to avoid the mixed dml, we use future methods to whenever we do call outs. Okay, but this use case, it is okay to use it, but not a very ideal use case to use the future method. Same goes for queuable. So a better way is to use the platform events. Better way is to use the event driven architecture here and use it to move things to asynchronous, and we will also see how to do that. Okay, so let me share my screen now, Salesforce screen, and let me know if you guys are able to see that. Just a second. All right, sorry, I have set the debug log, and what I'm going to do now is that I will create a new opportunity. I have set a couple of automations in the backend to mimic the CPU timeout. And every time I create a new opportunity, okay, let's say if I'm creating a new opportunity, and just confirm you guys are able to see my Salesforce screen, test opportunity one.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, okay,
Salesforce screen.
perfect. Let's select a close date as a future date. Let's select an account, and if I select close one as a stage, there are a couple of automations which I have written in the backend which will get triggered, and we will mimic the CPU timeout. I just want to show you how we actually get it on screen. So if I click on save, it will process for some time, and ultimately we should get the CPU timeout issue. Okay, so let's just wait for this transaction to get completed. See, this is the Salesforce DevOps. So it is really difficult to mimic the CPU timeout because we will never have that much amount of code and automations that we hit the CPU timeout. So I have deliberately written a bad code just to get the CPU timeout. Okay, it should be just about to finish. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, now you see that we will get this error. We can't save this record because this process, this flow failed. Okay, and this gave me some error. And if you later on go and check the context of it, the actual error happened when contract trigger ran and we got apex CPU timeout limit exceeded. Okay, if you check this thing from the developer console, because we have set the developer log, you can see the apex CPU time limit exceeded in the status. So we now have to identify what is the root cause. The starting point was that whenever we create a new opportunity, so something is happening on either before insert or after insert an opportunity, and we are getting CP timeout. So one way is to do is that now you go back to opportunity automations and check what is happening, what things are happening in the opportunity, versus the other way is to go through the debug console and check the log. Okay, now here I have seen that few developers just go through all the details on the log, and that will take a lot of time because it will give hundreds and hundreds of line, and it will be really hard for you to debug. So the better way is to do it with the prospective manager. See, this is the complete log and it will have too many lines. It is practically not possible to go through each line. So there is an option on the debug, we can say switch perspective, or you can say perspective manager. You can choose anyone, and if you define the all instead of log only, it will give you, okay, so it only ran opportunity trigger. And if you go to the execution tree here, you will be able to see how much time it was taking, how much heap it was taking. Okay, so Whenever you get CPU timeout or the heap size issue, this is a better way to do to check it from here. And then you can say that flow on opportunity ran, which took a lot of time. And then inside you can see that trigger ran, contract trigger. So something is happening in contract trigger which is taking a lot of time. Okay, so I mean, this is just the developer org, so there is only one process automation, not much of the code. But in a real company environment, you will see so many things happening here. So if you just identify the thing which is taking more time, it will be very easy for you to just go to that thing instead of going through the whole thing. Okay, here also you see only one thing is happening. If I show you it in this, only one thing is happening. This is the trigger. One thing to remember here is that in this Apex code category, flow also comes in the same category. Okay, so all the flows and triggers will come here. Workflow rules, process builders will come here, and database operations will come here. Database operations do not get counted towards the overall CPU time limit exceed. Okay, so database operations will be excluded. Whatever time your transaction is taking in this will be excluded from the limit defined. Call out time will also be excluded, but validations will be included. So here you will get to know that okay, your contract trigger is taking some extra time, and now you know that transaction was started by opportunity and something is happening on contract, and contract trigger is getting started. So now you can easily go back and check the flow which started this whole thing. From here on you saw flow on opportunity started this whole thing. So let's go to flow. And because contract trigger is also starting, so that must be after context, because in the before it will just be opportunity. So let's go to opportunity after save flow and see what is happening in it. I might be going bit fast, but uh, feel free to get in touch with me if you want any details on this. Okay, so this is the flow on opportunity. What we are doing is that whenever an opportunity record is created or updated, and we are just checking if the stage is closed on, then we are creating a new contract. Now this new contract is getting created, so there must be some trigger on contract which is getting triggered after this operation in the same transaction, and that is why we are getting the CP download. Here a new candidate record is getting created, that is fine. So on contract we are creating a new contract. If I show you the developer console and contract trigger, you can see there is a trigger on contract which is doing this, and this is causing us the CPU timeout. Okay, so the transaction was started by opportunity, and then it went to contract, and it was supposed to go to some other objects as well, because on contract creation we are creating couple of other objects as well. But because this piece of code is really bad, it is not allowing us to go ahead, because it the execution engine never finishes processing this. We get error the moment we enter this code. Okay, so now this was just to show you how do we get the CPU timeout on screen, and then how do then we debug that. Okay, now obviously this is a really bad code, I am not going to use it. So let us save it like this. And now we will make couple of assumptions here in order to use platform events and in order to mimic the CPU timeout. Okay, so let's consider whenever we are creating an opportunity, the whole opportunity transaction is just taking 4 seconds, but this contract creation and whatever happens on contract creation takes more than 6 seconds. Okay, so overall it takes more than 10 seconds. However, just opportunity thing was only taking 4 seconds. So if I remove this particular thing from this transaction, okay, if I just remove this thing from here and move this thing to asynchronous apex, even if it is taking 6 seconds or less than that, we can optimize that later on, but it will save our opportunity transaction, and this piece will get extra CPU time for the processing. Okay, so the plan here is that we will move this particular piece to asynchronous apex, and we will continue doing the thing here. Okay, now to move that thing, either we can move it to future method, but we will be using a platform event. Okay, so let me show you a platform event. We have created a platform event for this. Okay, and you can access platform events from setup. Just type platform events and you'll be able to get it. we have created a platform event, and you can create a new platform events from here. The name is, and follow a proper naming convention for platform events, because otherwise it will be really confusing for you in the back end the moment you have more platform events. So follow a proper naming convention for them. I have just created two fields. One is opportunity ID, and other one I am using a custom field triggered for. Here I will pass just the object name so that I can use the same platform event to process multiple things as well. Currently only opportunity ID is required because we have to create a contract. Okay. So there is another version of this flow available, and I will now show you that. I have already done all the backend processing because to save some time here, otherwise it will take more time. So now if I show you the latest version of it and open it, you can see that here everything is same. It's just that instead of creating contract, I am creating the platform event record. Okay, so what it will do is that it will create a new platform event record with these values. Opportunity ID and triggered for will be just opportunity. Okay, see, don't judge me for this code. I am not using any fault element or something because this was just for the demo purpose. But whenever you create any flow or something in your org, make sure that you have a fault element added wherever you feel that it might fail, especially in the DML statements. Okay, so I have created a platform event, and then in the backend I have also created a platform event triggered flow. That platform event triggered flow will be called every time we create a platform event record. So we'll come here, we'll create a platform event record, a platform event, and then in this transaction only platform event will be created, but in an asynchronous thread, this another flow, platform event triggered flow, will be called. This is the flow I'm talking about. Create contract from opportunity. This is a platform event triggered flow. Here we are subscribing for the event record which we created. So this will be called whenever a platform event record created. There is only one option available on platform event, that is create. Okay, it does not support update. Now here we will check if it was triggered for opportunity. Okay, and if it is, then here we will create a contract record. Okay, so instead of creating this contract record on the directly opportunity after say flow, we are creating a platform event record there, and then the moment we create a platform event record, this particular flow will be called, and then contract creation and everything which happens on contract will happen in an asynchronous thread through the asynchronous processing. Okay, so this will be now excluded from this, but it will happen. So if I activate this version of our flow, we just want to see if when we create a new opportunity, contract is getting created or not. Now that we have optimized it, and now that we have started using platform event, is it actually working or not? Okay, so for that, what we are going to do, we will create a new opportunity. Test opportunity 1, and let's say close date is in future, stage is close one, and let us also select the account. The reason why I'm selecting an account here is that because of the contract creation, account is a mandatory field. Okay, although we have hard coded it there in the backend, but let's just to tell you, so a contract will get created the moment we create a new opportunity, even though we followed this approach by creating a platform event here, and then this platform event will create the opportunity, create the contract. So you can also see that even though it is asynchronous processing, this was nearly real time. The moment you saved this opportunity, the contract got created. Even though it was from the backend, it was more of a asynchronous processing, but it is nearly real time. So we get the flexibility of doing everything nearly real time, and the power of asynchronous apex as well. So that's like a win-win condition for both on both front. Okay, so now this is just the demo of it, and we have kind of replicated CPU timeout to show you. But in a real company, if you will go and check the actual execution log, it will not be that straightforward. It will be like red and green and then yellow. It will be too much. There will be so many things happening here. This is just a new brand new DevOps, so there are very few things happening. But if you check the check the context of it, you will see that now this was pretty straightforward. So you can see the execution tree, and it just took 458 milliseconds. And here you can see flow run, then opportunity trigger run, but nothing on contract is running here because that will happen in a asynchronous context, not in the synchronous context. So use the prospective manager as much as you can, especially to identify CPU timeout or the heap size issue, because there are so many options available. There is a performance tree, there is execution tree. Here, from here you can actually check the timelines, on which timeline what is happening. So this started your transaction, and then a database operation was performed, and then again trigger was performed. So all these things happens in the prospective manager, and it is really good tool for you to check what is happening behind the scene in your transaction. You can see what happens and what was the time taken by each of these operations. So this is a really good tool for you guys to use. And CPU timeout, first you need to identify CPU timeout. Most of the companies face CPU timeout because of the bad design or bad coding practices, or too many process builders, or too many workflows, too many triggers. Like for an object, let's say you have trigger as well as flows as well as process builders as well as workflow rules, and then those transaction starts the same thing on other objects as well. So from account, you started a transaction that will start the opportunity related transaction, which is already huge, and then opportunity will start the case related transaction, which is already huge. So all those heavy things will keep on loading themselves up with the new things, and there will be there'll be a case, then you will start hitting either CPU timeout or the heap size issue, because your transaction is very heavy. So you have to make a decision there, that what are the things which are not immediately required to be done in the synchronous transaction, and then you can move those things to asynchronous apex. The first step obviously is to optimize your transaction, make sure that you are following the best practices and everything. You do not have too many validation rules, you do not have too many process builders, because process builder takes a lot of time. Okay, so if your org is getting CPU timeout, the first step should be to check if you have any loop inside loop, or if you have written a query, inner query, which is not very efficient. Try to make them efficient, try to avoid loop inside loop, try to use map as much as you can. But once you optimize your code, if you have too many process builders, try to optimize them as well, because process builders are very ineffective and they takes a lot of execution time. Make sure that you do not have too many validation rules, and your validations rules are not referring other formula fields as well, because validation rules will get counted, and if they have references to other formula fields, then obviously they will take a lot of time to get executed. Make sure that you are entering a piece of code only if it is required. Make sure you are using is changed a lot throughout your flow and throughout your apex code, because if something is only required to be executed, then only run it. Otherwise, use the proper conditioning to check the piece of code and enter there only if it is required. So these are a couple of things you have to make sure. But even if you get the CPU timeout, then use the asynchronous limits available on CPU context. Try to move those things to asynchronous so that you can avoid them. All right, that's pretty much I wanted to share today. Very quickly, I know I went very fast on this, and you guys might have some questions, but let's take questions now, or I will hand it over to Sagar for the quiz we guys have. So let's see the interesting answers. Over to you, Sagar.
Thank you so much, Mohit. That was an awesome session we have, and really loved every part of it. I think we targeted the initial developers, the senior developers, as well as people who are in the architect role or they are trying to be into the architect role. this is going to be very impactful session for them. Once they are they will be revisiting it through the recordings. So, guys, thanks for being such a lovely audience. I would request you all to please send the questions through the Q&A option. Mohit, over. I think we got few questions, so please let me know if you can see them or I should read it out. I
Just
think the Q&A should be available to you.
yeah, just
If
give me
not,
a second. Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Well, the first question that we have is okay, okay. Now I think we got bombarded with questions. So let's take the latest one. Does platform event only run? Okay, now this run as asynchronous. That's our first question. It's from
Yes.
Nikhil.
Yeah, hi Nikhil. Yes, platform events are asynchronous event driven architecture where uh, you sometimes get requirement that notify a user whenever something happens on screen. So these kind of things we can do with platform events where when something happens on screen, you capture that, push a notification to server, and then there will be multiple subscriber who will subscribe for it. So they will get notification whenever that particular piece of thing happen. This completely is asynchronous and happens in the backend, but this also is a near real time. So you will get a feeling of having everything immediately, yet it is asynchronous. Okay.
Perfect. The next question we have is what is platform event? When we can go for that?
Yes, platform events are see from the UI point of view. If you see, platform events are more like a custom objects where you can create new platform event, create couple of fields in it. Okay, but consider it as a table where you can store some data so that you can ultimately send that data to someone else. That someone else could be within Salesforce, as well as it could be a system outside of Salesforce as well. It could be external system as well. So they are very useful for things which is happening within Salesforce as well as things happening outside of Salesforce as well. They are very useful in the integration. So you might heard this term event driven mechanism, event driven architecture. So they are basically talking about platform events where we have a event bus which is stored all these platform event notification, and then there is a publisher who is publishing those events. Then there are multiple subscriber who are subscribing for those events. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And this is an interesting one. Can a QA log a bug for CPU timeout to the developer?
100%. Not only QA, I mean every end user can log a bug, and whenever CPU timeout happens in an organization, that's a very bad phase for a developer, because in a large organization there are so many things happens in the back end. CPU timeout happens when you have exhausted almost everything, like your transaction is really bad, either because of the bad code or because of you are doing too many things in the same transaction. Okay, so for a developer, CPU timeout is a kind of hell situation where you do not have much time to even identify the root cause of it. Forget about solving it. Solving comes later. Okay, so identification of CPU timeout is really difficult, and QA, obviously QA will log a case for it. Even sometimes end user will take a screenshot and will bombarding you with the screenshots, like every time I'm creating an opportunity, I'm getting CPU timeout. What is happening in the Salesforce?
Hmm,
What and everybody will question your ability of Salesforce team. So yep, very bad situation.
noted. How the platform event is firing the flow for contact creation
Yeah.
or is getting fired from a parent flow?
Okay. So on the opportunity after SafeFlow, what we did is that we created a platform event record. We just need to create the platform event record. Every time that platform event record is created, we have also created a platform event triggered flow. That triggered flow act as a subscriber. So that subscriber is basically doing what? Every time you create an event for this particular platform event, I will subscribe it. I will catch that event. So you created platform event via opportunity after save flow, that was immediately captured by platform event driven flow. And then whatever was written inside that flow, create the contract got executed. It acts as a subscriber, whereas from the opportunity flow, you published that platform event. Okay.
Awesome. So, what is the benefit of using platform event over other async methods like queuable?
Yeah, very good question. See, platform events, and there will always be question about why we chose platform events over future methods in Qubel Epics as well. We can also use future method and Qubel Epics to do that. It's just that I want to save my future method and Qubel Epics to do the things which they are designed for. Okay, I want to use future method to do the call outs. I don't want to exhaust my such limit, because those call outs will also be happening in my org. Same goes for Qubel. We have a specific thing written for just for Qubel. So I don't want to exhaust Qubel epics limit, because those are also very important for me. And this is a kind of new option we have got, which also gives me more flexibility to do things immediately as well. So it's not like Qubel Apex cannot do such thing. Obviously, they'll be able to do that. They are as efficient as platform events are, but I want to save them so that I can use them elsewhere, because these kind of things will happen a lot, and we'll be sending a lot of platform event notification. If we start using Qubel Apex for these things, then obviously we will exhaust those limits as well, and I want to save them for their own specific use case rather than generic use cases. Okay, so it's not like they're not good enough. They are 100% good, and we can use them for the same purpose. It's just that my org is bit too big, so I want to save those limits to do the specific thing rather than do the general things. Okay.
Awesome. So, the next question again from Nikhil, it is an interesting one. Can this 10-second time get increased by paying extra to Salesforce?
No, unfortunately, no. See, Salesforce has to make sure that their multi-tenant environment is secure and nobody is overutilizing the resources. Had they start giving it for money, obviously there will be people who will come and they will require 60 hours instead of 60 seconds. So they'll have to maintain the multi-tenancy as well, and that is why most of these governor limits are more of a hard limits, because they are protecting their servers, they are protecting their resources so that other tenants can use it. So no, that is not possible today.
Awesome. So let's take the last one and then I will start the quiz following the other interesting stuff that we have planned. And Mohit, if you get chance, you can reply to the Q&A right away on the right side of the panel.
100%.
And the last question, let's take an interesting one. Okay, so we have a use case here. I have seen that we use multiple triggers for platform event. Can you explain what is the real use case of this?
Multiple triggers, as in, see, there can be multiple subscribers. Okay, so we can subscribe a platform event from a flow, from triggers, from a lightning web components as well. So one platform event can be subscribed by multiple subscribers as well. So that is why there'll be one publisher, but subscriber can be multiple. And it could be external systems as well who will be subscribing for it. And that is the advantage of this event driven architecture, is that you need not to do point and point integration, where you send data from system A to system B, and then if you need to send to system C, you will have to again build a point to point integration between A and C. So from here you will just publish from A. Whosoever A, B, C, D, E wants to subscribe, they all can subscribe at once. So you need not to do this integration again and again. So there can be multiple subscriber, but I think publishing will be happening only once.
Awesome. With that,
Yeah.
we have started our countdown.
And
Guys, please do join. And if you have questions, do share your questions on the side panel. I have sent two links to you. So the surprise that I was talking about is that we'll have a random wheel challenge. We'll have one winner from this virtual event, and we'll be giving swags to the winner for the random wheel, as well as for the quiz. We'll be giving one swag to the winner of the quiz. And do share your feedbacks on the link that is there on the chat. Again, this feedback will be anonymous, so you can send whatever you felt about the event and how we can make these events more impactful, better for you. Okay, and Mohit has sent the the contact details. So please do share your questions directly to Mohit. Mohit, I can't thank you enough for this lovely session. Please do please be with us till the end of the session. I know you have a lot of
100%.
yeah. Thank you. So how you are going to join the game? So you have to go to kahoot.id, and or you have a phone, you can install the app, Kahoot app, and then it will ask you for a pin, and then you have to enter the 8906924. With that, you will be entering this game. Give the right name so that we can identify who's the winner. So we'll wait for some time. I will check like how many we have here. I'm already joined. Okay, so there are 29 folks who have joined. Now, a little bit of instruction, guys. Those who, those who will be playing this first time. So you will have questions on the screen, and on your screen, when I say on the screen, the questions will be on this screen. The meeting link where you have joined, and the answers will be on your screen, the screen that you have logged in to use the code, and you will be given four options depending on the questions, and you have to select the right color. So you will use the color to choose your answer, and the Kahoot will give you certain marks based on how fast and how right the answer is going to be, and then we'll have a winner. Don't lose hope, because even we have seen after giving wrong answers to uh, straight away 5 questions, still we have seen people come out of nowhere and be on the top. So I've got another question. Please share the link to join the quiz. Well, the link is on the left top side. You can go to kahoot.id, and it will ask you for the game pin. So just enter the game pin there. Well, you have to wait. We have 64 folks who have been added. So we have around 75 total participants. So we'll give it a minute more, and then we'll get started. So guys, please hurry up. Okay, I'm going to close it, guys. So hurry up. Yes, we are going to start the quiz. We are just waiting for few more folks to join. Okay, let's get started, guys. And here we have the first question of today. How to use platform events to avoid CPU timeout? Okay, so the first question is, what might a Salesforce administrator say when their CPU time limits are challenged by particular resource intensive process? Please excuse the typos, guys. We have some limits on the tool. Hmm. Okay, okay. Let's go to the next question. Kunal, followed by Magesh, Manisha, Bhupati, and Lakshmi. Question number two. What do Salesforce administrators and chefs have in common when it comes to CPU usage? I think they both thrive on excessive heat. Maybe wrong, maybe right. Okay, I was wrong. And with 10 more. Let's see the leaderboard. Kunal on the top, Manisha, Bhupati, Magesh, and Nikunj. Okay, let's go to the next one. Which of the following is true about execution order of platform events compared to other types of triggers? Okay, okay. So this makes us look good. Most of the people have actually paid attention. Okay, let's go to the next question. What is the default CPU timeout limit for synchronous Apex code execution in Salesforce? Hmm, I think we got a question too, right? Hmm, another good one. Yes. Okay, so what's happening with the leaderboard? Magesh, followed by Bhupati. Then we have Manisha, Mehul, Nikunj. Okay, don't worry, guys. We have more questions. How do platform events help in preventing CPU timeout issues in Salesforce? Hmm, okay. I think by increasing CPU capacity, right? Just pay to get more. Okay, I was wrong again. Okay, so what does it mean? It means you cannot have everything with money, right? You have to have a good architecture. Okay, so leaderboard is as it is. Six players lost their answer streak of three. Okay, so this was a tricky one then, I guess. Let's go to the next question. What happens if a synchronous Apex transaction exceeds the CPU timeout limit? Well, I literally do not make the right guess. So I would say the CPU timeout limit is dynamically extended. So it gets automatically done, right? I do have to worry about it. Hmm. Again, I was wrong. So no more guessing. You have to pay the attention to the session. So what's with the leaderboard? So we have Magesh, Manisha, Mehul, Vince, and then we have Jayesh. So a little change in our leaderboard. What is the purpose of the future annotation in Salesforce and how does it relate to the CPU timeout? think it increases the CPU timeout limit. So wherever we use the future, the CPU timeout limit gets increased. Don't listen to me, guys. I've been wrong all along. So, see, I was wrong. Let's see what's happening with the leaderboard. Mehul on the top, followed Magesh, Naman, Jayesh, Bhupati. So a lot of change in our leaderboard. Don't worry, guys. We have four more to go. What is the benefit of using platform events over traditional synchronous processing for CPU intensive tasks? Huh. Okay. I think it enhances the user interface. Well, I might be pretending to dumb, right? But this is a guess game, right? For those who have not paid attention to the session. Well, I am wrong again, but most of you paid attention, so we have improved performance. Awesome. So, what is with the leaderboard? Mehul, followed by Makesh, Jayesh, Naman, and Manisha. Awesome, guys. Let's go to the next question. What is the default CPU timeout limit for synchronous Apex code execution in Salesforce? It should be 10 seconds, right? That was before. So, should be the same. Hmm. Okay, 60 seconds. Awesome. And any changes in the leaderboard? We have Mehul followed by Magesh, Jayesh, Rohan, and Nikunj. So let's go to the next question. Which of the following is not counted towards CPU timeout limits in Salesforce? Hmm. Okay. I think all of it, right? No. I think it should be the green one, right? We should have more green one in winter. So it should be the green one. Yes, finally I am right. So those who followed me, you got this right. But I was kind of late. So we have Mehul, followed by Magesh, Nikunj, Ashutosh, and Salesforce. Okay, okay, interesting. Well, guys, quick tip for the future games. Never use random names, use your precise names so that when you got a chance to win, actually, um, you are being qualified and we can contact you. There can be so many people with the name, same name, right? So don't use the trick names. How can developers optimize code to reduce CPU timeout consumption in Salesforce? Okay. Hmm. Well, I would just disable the governor limits, right? Green one, or it could be the blue ones, right? Hmm. Okay. So I was wrong and I was right. Interesting. Who we have the winner as? Magesh, followed by Mehul, and then we have Ashutosh. So congratulations, guys. Big kudos to you for paying so good attention to the session. And Magesh, please do send me your email. If you're not in our WhatsApp group, please do add yourself and send me your email address and details. I will follow up with you later. Okay, with that being said, guys, uh, don't get discouraged. I have sent you another link. So please do submit the details over there. We have random wheel also. So we'll give you a chance to get a swag. So
Many
I hope you.
congratulations, winners, Magesh, Mehul, and Ashutosh, and everybody. Thank you for playing this game. It was super fun. I really enjoyed your answers, and thank you, Sagar, for commentary on the on the questions. It was lovely. Like either right or wrong, it was lovely. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for hosting this session. Thank you for giving me opportunity, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And I hopefully will see you guys again in future. Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mohit. We can't thank you enough for such a lovely session and look forward to have you more such sessions with us. Thank you guys for being such a lovely audience. Please do share your honest feedbacks and do submit your details for that random wheel and we'll post it our WhatsApp group. Thank you guys. Signing
Thanks
off
a
for
lot.
today. Thank you.
Have a lovely day. Bye bye.